Hi everyone. I am here with Steve and Stacy from Ohio. Hi guys, how are you doing today?
Good, thank you. How about you, Cari?
I'm doing great. I understand that you have a very great story from the time of the election. So tell me, you guys, what is your story?
Well, my husband's the crazy one, okay? He met someone online, the most left of the left liberal, and they made a bet. I thought he was crazy, but Steve, tell him about the bet.
So is this on Twitter? Is this Twitter?
Yeah, it was somewhere around probably what the second debate was it? Yeah,
Second debate.
second debate. And during the debate, there's all the back and forth, and everybody's having fun. So I was having fun with Twitter, and this gentleman popped up, and we started trading barbs back and forth. And I told him at one point, I said, "Well, hey, I owe you a beer. When you're in town, let me know, and I'll buy you a beer." And I repeated that a couple of times as I encountered him in my timeline going forward. And finally, he came back and said, "Well, here, I tell you what, I'll make you a bet." He said, the whoever wins, the loser has to come fly to their house for a weekend of bonding.
He was from Boston.
So,
Weekend of bonding.
he's a college student. He's a college student from Boston.
He's a PhD
Yeah,
candidate.
he's a PhD candidate, very, very smart fellow. But he said, for a weekend of bonding. So I said, well, I hear Boston's beautiful, that time. So I said, I've got not a lot to lose. I said, bet's on. Because at that point, nobody had any idea, I think, that Trump would actually win the election.
I did.
Well,
you knew.
Well, yeah, the first hour of election night was scary as heck, but I knew he was going to win. I had a good idea.
Okay.
But anyway.
So of course, after November 8th, when the deal was done, I waited a day or two, but I had remembered this. So I shot the guy a DM and said, "So when can we expect you?" Right? And I guess he waited a few days because I'm sure he was thinking in his mind, do I just not answer? Do I just let this drop? What do we do? But then he came back and said, well, when would be a good time? So we decided on a date. And sure enough, he hopped a plane. He was on his way home for Christmas vacation, but he stopped here at our house.
Overnight.
Stayed
in our house.
Spent the night with us. I told
You
him,
did
I said,
bond.
we've got a beautiful spare bedroom for you. And, we'll pull out all the stops. Tell me what kind of beer you like. And we'll just do this thing. And he did. He showed up. He came and boy, we got right into it. And as soon as he got into the door, we were sitting down at our sunroom table and the questions started coming and the discussion started happening. And what time did we finally go to sleep? 4:30?
About 4:30 or 5.
Oh my gosh, what time did he show up?
He was delayed.
Okay.
It was a terrible snowstorm.
Terrible.
And you know how Cleveland and Boston are.
Yeah.
Katja, hello, I'm sure you know exactly how Cleveland is.
Yeah.
I thought it was crazy at first. I was a little bit nervous because, who knows? This,
Complete stranger coming in.
And I think he felt the exact same way. So, but we looked into him and made sure that he was who he said he was, and I'm sure he did the same with us.
Uh-huh.
So at first I was like, oh my God, Steve, you're crazy. This is a complete stranger. But then as I got to know him a little bit on Twitter myself and got to know him from, Steve, I was a lot less nervous about it.
Okay, good. So he shows up at your door. It's after Christmas.
No, actually December 18th.
It was before Christmas. And he shows up at your door. You sit down in your sunroom. You say the questions start to fly. What was the first question he asked you? Do you remember?
I think we probably opened up the questioning because Stacy had lots of questions about how do you really feel about tell me what attracted you about Hillary, what attracted you and of course this person was a Bernie supporter.
Okay.
And Hillary was more or less a fallback for him because it was Trump, I guess, sort of thing. But.
Yeah, he said he didn't like Hillary, and he probably much more than we did, but she was the only choice.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious too how he felt about Bernie getting stabbed in the back with the
conviction.
In the primaries, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
What did he say?
I can't remember what he said, but I think that's when he said that nobody really likes Hillary, but she, he's a never Trumper. She was the only choice.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember him being really quite frustrated with that and not a fan of Hillary.
Right.
Probably because of that reason.
Okay. All right. So he was a Bernie supporter. He didn't like Hillary, but he did vote for her, right?
He did vote for her in the election, the general.
Okay.
So
this was, if this was December 18th, then it was more than a month later after the election. So maybe 6 weeks after the election or more. Had he kind of warmed up? Had he changed any feelings he had about Trump prior to the election by the time he got to your house?
No. And in fact, the interesting thing is he thought all Trump supporters were hateful, racist, bigots, xenophobes. He thought he'd never met a Trump supporter in Boston.
Right.
Because it's very liberal there. So by the end of the weekend, he said that we had changed his mind about what Trump supporters, who they are, and what they're all about.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing. And we decided this was a great way for the country to come together because, I kind of understood his position a little more.
Mm-hmm.
He understood our position a little more. And I thought that was just the greatest thing when he said that he had a whole idea about Trump supporters. So that made it all so worth it hearing that. Because then he's going to go back to Boston.
Right.
He went back to Boston, and I'm sure he told all his very liberal friends at Boston U that, hey, these people are really cool, good people. They care about the country. They're not racist, not bigots. We just have a different idea of where the direction of the country should be going. So I think if more people could do that, what we just did, maybe, it would help so much.
Mm-hmm.
So it was so worth it to do something like that. And Devin ended up being really the nicest guy.
He was.
He was such a
guest.
Perfect guest, intelligent, cared about the country. And so he wasn't one of the leftists that hates America, hates the flag.
Yeah.
He wasn't that kind of a leftist.
And not argumentative. I mean, we discussed, because there was a lot going on, Black Lives Matter, and that was huge in the news during McKesson. And so a lot of those things were topics of our conversation.
Okay.
And he would state his position. Here's why I support this. Here's the gripe they have. And I would say, well, yes, but, and the problem is their message is getting muddled by their method. And it just went back and forth like that. It was really awesome. It was a great discussion.
We have a little bit of a funny story, too, is we were in the basement at this point, and it's the middle of the night, and Devin asked how we felt about the Second Amendment. And so I said, wow, I just got my CCW license. And he looked like his face got all red or all white, and he said, well, do you guys have any guns in the house? And we're like,
oh, yeah.
Heck yeah, of course we do. And he just about died.
Kind of rolled his eyes like, oh, my God.
Yeah, he was a little nervous. I said, well, you can lock your bedroom door, when you go to bed, just lock your door.
Oh, my gosh. So that is so funny. So this is what I've got to say to you guys. This kind of dialogue is what it takes to make America great again. You have two sets of people who like the country. They had different visions of how to make it great again. But instead of blocking each other out or muting each other or this kind of thing, you decided to have a dialogue. And both of you, he realized that he has not been told the truth about all Trump supporters.
Absolutely.
And he got to meet you guys and see that you are patriotic Americans. And did you learn anything about him that maybe made you think differently about Bernie and or Hillary voters?
Well, the one thing I learned is something that I had in the back of my head was the left hates the country. I really started to think this, all the news and stuff. I started to, that's what I thought. I thought, they just want this global, they don't want borders.
Mm-hmm.
And no, that's, at least Devin and his group, and he says he's far left. He cared about the country.
Okay, good.
And He doesn't want the wall. He doesn't think that's an effective way to for border security.
Mm-hmm.
But he does. It didn't seem like he didn't want just complete open borders.
Okay, well, that's good.
That was good, but yeah, he was completely against the wall,
Mm-hmm.
thinking that that was a waste of money. He didn't think Mexico was going to pay for the wall, and so he thought that that was probably a waste of taxpayers' money. I don't build a wall. In fact, this is my RNC. This is what I sent to the RNC. I said, build the wall, GOP. I won't give you money until you build the wall and replace Speaker Biden.
And I took a picture of this morning. I found it laying on the counter when I was getting ready for work, and I tweeted it. And by far, it is the most successful tweet I've
Well,
I've
what
got over
you got to do
200.
is put it in their self-paid envelope so that they're paying for your message.
That's what I'm doing. I'm gonna after I just got it last night. I made the message. I'm gonna put it in an envelope, mail it tonight.
Yep.
I'm not giving them another dime. I am giving Congress a big fat F minus. And so did Devin, by the way.
Right.
Oh, well, you agree on Congress's grade. That's
Yes,
you.
yes,
We are uniting over how bad Congress is.
yes, it was. We did. It was funny.
Oh my gosh. Well, that is so awesome. Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to put both of your Twitter handles below the video on YouTube so that if people want to, they can engage with you and follow you and ask you more questions about this nice little bet you had with Devin from Boston. So I really, really love this story. I love the message behind it. Let's keep the dialogue open. Let's talk to one another.
Absolutely.
Let's meet with one another. This is how you make America great again. You guys are sterling examples of that from Ohio. So proud of you guys and so happy to make your acquaintance today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cari.